Hi children, how are you? I am here with a new topic. What you're seeing on the screen is something special, a microscopic view. You can see there are tubes. Through the tubes, liquid is flowing, and along the liquid you can see some disc-like structures. They also move towards that along the entire tissue structure. I hope you understood what we are going to learn today. And the lesson is blood circulation of grade 11. And here we are going to study about three important things. The first one is the blood. What are the components of blood and their functions? The second one, one of the miraculous, unique structure in our body that we always amazed about how this organ works without tired and without stopping. That is the second one, and the structure and the function. And third one is about some technical things about that organ, that is heart. So let's get into the lesson. Today's lesson that is about blood. So the entire lesson is blood circulation. So you think the circulation is very important. We have numerous organs in human body, and each organ should be connected with the other organ in order to work together, a coordinated manner. So who is coordinating and who is connecting all these organs? And for the purpose of coordination, I mean electrical coordination, we have a special organ called brain, and it gets information through the neurons or nerve cells and give the feedback to the organ. But who connects all these organs? Who is supplying required materials to these organs? That is the question. So the answer is blood, a very special type of tissue in human body or in any other animal's body. So what is the speciality of the blood tissue? Why it is special and why it is unique from other tissues? And you can see all the other tissues are made up of cells and they are solid, they stay in one place. But this tissue is also made up of cells, but it has a liquid part, and it is a liquid tissue, and it has the ability to move from one place to another place. That makes this tissue as a transporter of our body. So you can see as it flowing and it has a liquid part, and we can name this as a connective tissue. In your previous lessons you have studied there are certain connective tissues in our body. The one is blood, bones and cartilage. These are the connective tissues. Blood is one of that. And what are the components of this blood? And what is the ability? What is the adaptation in order to transport the materials it has? You can see children here. First of all, being a liquid tissue and contain lots of about 55% of plasma, liquid part, or the main component of plasma is water, containing water, and being a liquid tissue, it has the ability to move from one place to another place, and containing water. And water is a very good solvent, and it has the ability to dissolve most of the components in our body and transport. So you can see very simply, right? If you take the lungs, almost all the cells in our body needs glucose and oxygen in order to produce energy. That is respiration. You can see the glucose is produced or isolated by the digestion process in the digestive system. And the oxygen is available in the lungs or in the respiratory system. So all these two materials should be taken and given to all the cells. You can see that's why the blood flows all over the body and takes all the materials from the cells, from the different organs or different systems, and distributing to the other organs. This is how it works. And at the end of this lesson, you should be able to list out so many other functions of the blood rather than transporting materials. Okay, let's have a look inside the composite of blood. So if you take a very special or process that we perform during the blood test, that is centrifuge, a small vessel, and we collect the blood into that, and there is an instrument. We keep the vessel into the instrument and switch on. Then it will rotate. So during this rotation, what will happen, according to the density, so then the materials or compositions will separate into different layers. And very clearly able to see two layers would be seen in the after the centrifuge of blood. The lower part will be made up of particles, and the upper part is made up of pale yellow color liquid. So here we can divide them into two different components according to that evidence. One is corpuscles, that means the particles, and the other one is plasma, that is the liquid part. So let's have a look, and if you do even further and close observance, you can observe three different layers in the lower particle layer. So what are the three different layers? The first one, they are cells. Some are fragments of cells. We cannot consider them as a complete cell. It is a fragment of cells. The first one, a very special, that gives the color to the blood is red blood cells or RBC. So shorter we can tell it as RBC, red blood cells. And the most number of RBC cells you can observe in the blood samples. And what is next? White blood cells. They don't have any color. They don't have any pigments in their cells. So they are transparent, bigger cells. We call them white blood cells or WBCs. And at the top of the particle layer, you can see a very smaller particles. But we don't consider them as cells. It is a fragment of cells. No nucleus, without a nucleus. That is platelets. These are the three cellular components or corpuscles or particles in the blood. And if you have a close look at the cells, different types of cells, and WBCs are very special because more number of different types of WBCs are available. Right, there are 5 different types of WBCs available, and while you observe through the microscope, you can see granules or dots in the cells. In certain cells, we call them all together granulocytes. Even there are some other differences, but all have granules. We call them granulocytes. Some other white blood cells, they do not have granules. So we call them non-granulocytes. So altogether granulocytes and non-granulocytes, there are 5 different types of WBCs available. And if you take the granulocytes, there are 3 types: a neutrophil, eosinophil, and basophil. The most abundant WBC type in our blood is neutrophils. The second, non-granulocytes, you have 2 different types. One is monocytes and the lymphocytes. You should be able to identify them or differentiate them by just looking the microscopic pictures or diagrams. So let's have a little deeper look of these different types of cells and their structure and some more information and their functions. Each different types of cells have their own function in our body. First of all, if you take the RBCs, RBC, as according to their name, red blood cells, they are red in color because of a very special component in their body, and that is hemoglobin. A very special component made up of a protein and heme, iron molecules or iron atoms, right? And that gives the color to the blood. And smaller in size and a very bigger, large number you can observe, a very big number. Because the very special thing about the structure of the RBCs, they have a very special structure. We call them biconcave structure. The middle part is flattened and narrow, the edges are little swollen. So biconcave structure. You can see in the cross section, biconcave structure, and very special feature, this cell do not have nucleus. You know, having a nucleus is a very important feature of cells, but these cells do not have nucleus in order to give more surface area to transport oxygen. The function of these cells are transporting oxygen. When the blood goes to the lungs, the hemoglobin attracts the oxygen molecules like the magnet attracts metals. It attracts an oxygen and hemoglobin together, making a special compound. We call that oxyhemoglobin. So this oxyhemoglobin travels throughout the body, and the cells, whatever need oxygen, they will take, because hemoglobin and oxygen are binded in a weak manner, a weak bond between these two, so easy to break and take it. But there are certain components, they have very strong bonding with hemoglobin. Once they are bounded, we cannot take them back. Such gas is carbon monoxide, CO gas. It's very poisonous. Once it is attached with the hemoglobin, we cannot take it back or break that bond. So your amount of hemoglobin will reduce and cause poisoning and surely kill you, or it can cause brain death. So otherwise, where are they formed? It's a very important question. If you take your bones in the middle part, we call that bone marrows, and there is a special type of bone marrow, red bone marrows, and that is the place where the RBCs are produced. And they have a lifetime of 120 days. After that, they will be taken into liver or spleen, they are broken into small components, and the important component will be reabsorbed and other will be catabolized and released. So that's all about RBCs. So red blood cells, no nucleus, it contains special component hemoglobin that helps to transport oxygen. The lifetime is 120 days, produced in red bone marrows and destroyed in spleen or liver. So let's have a look in the WBCs. Very interesting. The function is very interesting. There are 5 different types here. You can able to see the diagrams, and you should be able to differentiate them. I will show you in this video some microscopic videos too. Right here you can see the granulocytes. There are 3 types of granulocytes: neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils. And the differences among them you can see the nucleus in the form of lobes. One nucleus divided into different lobes, right? And more than 2 lobes can you see in the neutrophils, 2 lobes in eosinophil, 1 lobe in basophil, and all of them have granules in their cytoplasm. So it is clearly visible in the microscopic view. And they have the ability to move like a amoebic move, right? You know the amoeba cells. They have pseudopodic movement, and likewise they also can move. And even sometimes the white blood cells have the ability to move out of the capillaries in order to do their functions. Let's have a look in the non-granulocytes. There are 2 types: lymphocytes and monocytes. They don't have any granules. Right, you can see there is no non-clear lobes in the nucleus. And what is the function of these WBCs? Why do we have? But if you take the WBCs, right, the size is bigger than the RBC, but the number is very less. They are very less in numbers. But certain conditions, their number will increase. We can identify the increase in the number by a FBC, full blood count. You can see why they increase in certain times. Which time they will increase? Once you are infected, if you have any diseases, infectious diseases, these numbers will increase. Now you should be able to identify or think what may be their functions. And they are the military force of our body. They are protecting from the external particles, for example bacteria or virus or any other microorganism causing diseases. They are foreign materials for our body and their identity is different, and these cells are checking the identity of the cells in our body and make it confirm that we don't have any foreign particles or foreign organism. Once any foreign particles or foreign organisms are identified, and they will take an action to kill that and protect our body from the infection. So this process is called as immune. It creates the immune system, the protective security system of our body. Nobody can enter without the proper identity into the blood. So this is the one fighting against the pathogenic microorganisms. And these are the ones fighting inside our body against the SARS-CoV-2 virus. The outside there are health workers and military force is fighting, and inside the body, and they are the security forces inside our body. They create immune system. Their lifetime is very short. Some of them have extreme life and some of them have very short period of time. And they also produced in bone marrows. So now let's go to the platelets. What will be the function of the platelets? I told you they are not considered as a complete cell. It is a fragment of cells. And if you open that cover, you can see a special type of fibers or proteinous fibers, that is thromboplastin. So what is their function? Why do they contain fibers inside their body? So here, and their function is blood clotting. That is very important. For example, if I have a wound in my body, then I will bleed. The blood goes out. So very important tissue, and if required amount of blood has gone outside, then the condition is serious. It may be fatal. So we have to stop bleeding. That is blood clotting. So these are the cells stop bleeding, right, by clotting the blood. How are they doing this? For example, if I have a wound in my hand, the blood flow will be disturbed in that area. Once it is disturbed, the changes in the pressure or the speed, and they will become weak, and it will break the cover and release their thromboplastin fibers. So now we can take the Spider-Man to understand this. You can see in one of the Spider-Man scene film, there's a scene, the villain, the protagonist, the antagonist person has a powerful person, is in a very tall building, in both his hands he kept a number of children, the other hand he kept the Spider-Man's girlfriend. So it's a critical situation for the Spider-Man to take a decision to whom he wants to protect. But as a hero, he has to protect both parties. So what he is doing is, he just make a net of his fibers, and whoever the children are falling, and they will be trapped into that net and safely landing his girlfriend also. That is the mechanism here, children, right? So whenever the platelets are open, thromboplastins will release out, and they make a mesh-like, net-like structure, then trap the blood cells and close that area. So within a certain time, it will be stopped. The bleeding will be stopped. So this is how the blood function here. So there are three types of cells, three different functions. RBCs carrying oxygen from the lungs to all over the body parts. The WBCs are creating the immune system and protecting our body from the pathogenic microorganisms. And the platelets create the blood coagulation, blood clotting, and protect from bleeding. So these are the functions. So let's have a look in the plasma. So what is the function of plasma? I told you, if you take the plasma, it contains 92% of water, and the second high component are proteins. So water is a universal solvent. It has the ability to dissolve most of the components, especially gases, carbon dioxide, oxygen, and nitrogen, small amount of nitrogen we need in our body for certain purposes, right? And the materials, digestive products, glucose or monosaccharides, other components, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, it can hold the ions, hormones, enzymes, whatever produced, the waste materials produced in our body, urea, uric acid, creatinine, salts, all can dissolve in water. So this is an important part which transport almost all the materials. The required materials to the targeted cells and the waste materials from the cells. All are collected by plasma and filtered in the kidney. You can compare with the previous lesson. And why these proteins are important in plasma? You can see, children, and there are most of the components, maybe ions and glucose, oxygen, carbon dioxide and other gases, urea, uric acid. These things will dissolve very well and can be taken. But there are some components they cannot dissolve in water, right? They cannot move faster in the blood. So who are such components? Fat, glycerides, or fatty acids. These things are difficult to move. So the protein acts as ambulance. You can see, so whenever it is crowded, the road is crowded by vehicles, what will happen? The ambulance will on the siren and all the other vehicles give space and it can go faster. So these proteins are acting as ambulance in the blood flow. So they can move very faster and carrying the slow moving particles like fat, lipids. So fat and these proteins combine together become a lipoprotein and they can be taken very faster. So that's all about this lesson, children. So let me give a summary about functions. And the blood connects all the tissues and it maintains homeostasis also in our body, and it supplies the required materials, it transports all the waste materials. These are the functions, and it gives the immune system to the body and stop bleeding by blood clotting. So that's all about this lesson about blood, and I will meet you with the parts and functions of blood circulatory system in the next lesson.